It's done.
So this is episode number 3 now of
Whatever
Biz-Dev
this is.
Talks, Biz-Dev
Ventures,
Media,
Biz-Dev
Biz-Dev
Media,
Ventures.
Biz-Dev Adventures, Ventures, Adventures. Oh my God, I
And
might not like that one.
yeah,
Adventures. Yeah, it's a good one. Get this camera straight so people don't throw up. All right. So I'm sort of sitting on this chair, laptop on my lap. So, David,
what's up?
why are people making the ad industry so complex?
Because it is complex.
But is it though?
Yes and no. Like you can boil it down to a few things that you should be doing,
Yeah,
but there are a lot of moving pieces that you do need to get right for a very good marketing strategy. Because
sure.
if you only have one part of your marketing doing a good job, but you're not focusing on the rest, like let's say you're doing really well on your paid media, but your basically let's say your CRM or your follow-up is weak,
Yeah.
then you might be doing good or you might be doing well, but if you improve that, then you could be doing much, much better. You could be doing great instead of just good.
And it goes back to then, I think what we mentioned like one or two talks ago about that, about having like a holistic approach, right?
Yeah,
Like an, you need to have the micro, but you also need the macro, right? You need to make sure that everything is working. And then in that everything, that all the small things are also working.
yeah,
So it's like optimizing and making everything more efficient. But I do feel that a lot of people are like adding fluff, right? Like what we were
yeah,
just talking about with the CPA, CAC, the
yeah.
what
A
was
lot
the
of
other one? Coca.
terminology.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all these terms that people are using now, and it's like, all right, there's a few
yeah,
basics to everything.
yeah, exactly.
How much are you spending? What's actually happening between the spending, and then how much are converting in the end, and how much do those conversions actually cost you, and how much are you
Exactly.
actually making on those conversions?
Yeah, those are basically the main metrics that you should be looking at.
Yeah,
And as you said, people complicate it, but you should still look at the details, right? You should still look at, let's say, how well your ads are converting or how well your landing page is doing and break that down. But the most important metrics are, how much is a customer costing you and how much are you making on that customer?
yeah,
And you should be making more on per customer than you are spending. Obviously, that's how you get to profitability.
yeah.
But there are a
And
lot of
then,
moving pieces, you know, to to have that happen.
and that's also the other thing is that hypothetically, like having an advertiser or having like or putting out ads shouldn't cost you anything because it should be paying itself back,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
covering its costs slash making you money.
Over time, definitely. It
Yeah,
depends on the company. I mean, some people are way more aggressive in terms of break-even timeframes, and other ones just take longer. It's the name of the game. It really depends on the industry, but yeah, at the end of the day, you want to be making more than you're spending per customer, obviously.
and with that being said, it's like, so from what you've seen, is that how would you go about like defining or even building a successful game, like a mobile app game?
Oh, that's a tough one. There are also a lot of moving pieces in the game itself,
Yeah,
and I'm sure there are others that are way more qualified to answer that. But basically, it's retention and monetization. If you have a good game, it's easy for people to come back and play because you get them hooked. So basically, trying to improve retention as much as possible so that people come back and play the game more and more and more.
yeah,
Um, and monetizing the audience properly, depending on where they are, because monetizing, it also depends on the app or on the
yeah.
game itself, because some games perform better if you monetize them through ads and other ones perform better if you monetize them through in-app purchases. And trying to find a balance, like I said, it's not easy, and but you need to work on those two as well. And then on top of that, you need to be good at your marketing and then just push a lot of users into it and know your numbers and track everything.
how would you what is the difference then? Because that's actually something that I haven't heard before. What's the difference between in-app purchases and ad purchases?
Oh, did I say ad purchases? I just mean ads.
Like, yeah, but what would be the difference? So the ads would be to get you to
So instead of, let's say you play Candy Crush, right?
sure.
If after every level you don't get an ad, you don't get an interstitial banner in between. I think I don't actually play it, but I would imagine. But you can pay, let's say $1 to get 300 coins, whatever it is. I don't know the actual numbers.
Yeah,
For boosters, let's say an explosion that helps you clear out a section of the match 3 board so that you can, you know, get beat the level.
sure.
You could also, and you also only have a limited amount of lives. So you could also pay to get more lives or to play longer. You could also alternatively watch a video to get back a life. So they monetize it by in-app
Gotcha.
purchases. So someone's paying for the coins or their lives, or they can watch a video in exchange for a life. And other apps that are more hyper casual that usually only have smaller session times and have people coming back and back. Usually, after every time they die or after every level, they get an interstitial ad in between.
Yeah,
And then they also have the rewarded video ads, which is what I was just talking about. If you watch a video and then you get something in return. So
and
what I've seen is like after you complete a level and you have, let's say, 30 coins, you
yeah.
can watch a video to triple that amount. So you just watch a 30-second video and all of a sudden you have 90 coins instead of 30.
Oh man, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. So, what is the most effective in the end, or is it just a combination of all of them? Like, there's not one set that's like this is like if you're gonna have a game, you need to have this sort of like method.
I think it depends on what your overall strategy is. I
Yeah,
think ads are going to be more prevalent over time because it's very hard to monetize certain people around the world through
sure.
in-app purchases because they just don't have the disposable income.
Yeah,
So I think a hybrid model, um, focus more on ads. I see a lot of companies shying away from ads because it interrupts the user experience, and I understand that. But on the other side, a lot of them are used to seeing ads, and for a lot of them, it's actually a benefit if they can watch a video and then all of a sudden get more time playing as opposed to having to spend that dollar or whatever it is for another 30 minutes of gameplay or whatever it would be.
true.
Um, and I see like what I've seen from Voodoo, for example. They're like they just recently ranked their game, I think 3D wood turning or something like that. Um, and I didn't see any in-app purchases. I didn't play it that long, but I did see a lot of ads, and they're doing it really smartly. And
Yeah,
what I've been hearing as well is that if you focus on the ad-based strategy, you can get to profitability much quicker than you do with in-app purchases. Because with in-app purchases, you have to rely on like 1 to 2% of your audience.
yeah,
And truly, it's actually just a subset of that. It's actually like 0.001% of your audience because you might be relying on people that spend a lot of money in your game, or they're called whales in the industry. And that's actually just a subset of the payers, right? So
yeah.
a lot of the times, gaming companies depend on that small subset in the mobile industry.
Whales. I like
Whales.
whales. We've had
Yeah.
the term whales used where we live, but it's for different reasons.
You mean because they're
But still,
actual
like,
whales,
no,
like
like,
in the
yeah,
ocean?
well, we also do have whales out here. That's true. But I'm talking about like whales, like people that come in and they just got a lot of money for investment, right? Like we
Yeah,
were
that's
talking
what it
about
is.
whales for
That's what
like
it is.
guys that have like $5 or $10 to spend on extra lives and things like
No,
that.
no, 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 no. I'm talking about thousands of dollars.
People spend thousands of dollars
Yes,
in
people
app.
that spend thousands of dollars inside of the game.
I love it.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
But
Man, oh man. But yeah,
just
no,
5 or 10
that's
dollars, that's just a pay user. That's not a whale.
yeah, no, exactly. Okay, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. I was like, how big is a whale in the game? How big would what would be a whale in the gaming industry, on the mobile app gaming industry? Like, when do you hit that threshold?
I think that depends on what numbers you're looking at and what industry the
What
app
is
is
the
in,
most you've
what
ever heard?
category.
What's the most you've ever heard?
I think like 2 or 300,000, something like that.
That someone spent on the game.
Yeah, dude. I can't say which game or where or when, but
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest ever I've personally heard of. I think there are some that have spent more than that on certain games, but that's like the one that I actually like saw with my own eyes in the stats. So yeah,
The
that's the
guy
thing.
was like ranked
That
number
one
one.
guy paid
Was he?
for a lot of marketing.
Yeah. Was he one guy? Was he the number one in the game in the end, or where? What rank was he?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure to be honest, because I mean, at the end of the day, if you play a long time, you can kind of catch up, sort of.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if he was the number one in the end, but he was a millionaire and he just enjoyed the game and he just wanted to improve. I guess
God
that's
bless.
you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's all about that improvement, right?
Right, right.
Oh man, genius. Love it. Hopefully he had a nice cape or whatever he had.
Yeah.
I'm saying in the game. I don't know what he bought with
Yeah, yeah,
300,000, but whatever. I
yeah.
hope. I
Just
wonder if the
in-game
company.
currency, and then with that,
Yeah.
just buy upgrades or whatever it is.
I wonder if the company like reaches out. Like, do they reach out to the guy? Like, hey man, like all good.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, 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 yeah. You should do that as a company. You should reach out to your whales and you should give them special treatment for sure.
okay. So that's like a thing you think. So that's
Yeah,
maybe
yeah, yeah.
another
That's
topic.
like a separate department of the like CRM,
Do people do? Have you
VIP
seen from your
management.
experience gaming companies that have that like a VIP
Yeah,
concierge
yeah. And concierge, yeah, yeah.
or something like
And
that?
they call and they get on the phone, and if there's ever any issues or any glitches or something went wrong with any payment that they have or their account or whatever, they have his personal number, and he gets right on it, like top of the priority list. Fix this guy's problem.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful.
That's
No, because I know about that from like the
not
tourism
that different, and
industry.
yeah, it's
In
the
the
same thing
tourism
in every
industry, you have that,
industry.
but in the gaming industry, which is more your expertise than mine, it's 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 crazy to hear about that, right?
I mean, it's normal to me now, but the first time I heard about it, I was pretty surprised as well.
Let me just see.
But I mean, these are the games that like have in-game currencies, and focus on that. Like other games that are based on subscriptions, like World of Warcraft, for example,
Yeah,
that's a whole different ball game, right? But you can still have a really high lifetime value because of that subscription base. And I really haven't seen that on mobile yet. Like outside of maybe old
subscription-based
school
game.
RuneScape that they put on mobile, like they brought that to mobile, so you can play that on your phone now. And that's
Jesus,
I think the only one that actually you have on mobile. Not the only one, but the only one that I'm aware of. Um, that might actually push any numbers, any relevant numbers that have subscription-based payment models.
one sec. 5, 4. I just had to put in a code for something for here to work. Alrighty, you still there, David?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, so those are the three things then I guess when it comes to like sort of like the games, like the in-app purchases, the ads or subscription base.
Yeah, but most mobile games don't do subscription-based because most people don't play long sessions. Like
Yeah,
an MMO on the computer, you can play that hours and hours and hours. It's not the same on mobile.
true. Their battery
So
runs
it's a
out.
different experience, right? Yeah, you
Yeah,
could plug in, but I mean, sure, there are games like that you can do and play for hours and hours, but most people, the vast majority of games that are, in the casual or even mid-core, I would say, segment, they usually have smaller time windows of game time.
mm, that's true. Usually like on the train, on the bus, walking,
Exactly.
whatever it might be. So it comes down to like your ads, right? Like your ad, improving your ad is sort of like the key to the success.
Yes, to a
What-
degree.
Yeah,
I think the number one key to success is having a good product, be that
uh,
a good game, a good
sure.
app,
Good service, good
or
game.
yeah. So I think that's the number one factor for success at the end of the day,
Yeah,
beyond marketing. But if you're looking at marketing, the biggest leverage you have to improve your marketing is focusing on the ad, constantly improving the ad, like weekly basis, put out at least 5 to 10 ads, if not more, depending on your budget. You know, if you're on a smaller budget, then probably less than that. If you're on a much bigger budget, then you probably need to be testing more. But then you already have a big team, and
Yeah.
that shouldn't be a problem.
And that's
But
also
yeah,
what I think, like, sorry to interrupt there, like
all good.
with a lot of companies that are starting up, sometimes they compare themselves maybe to the larger companies that have more infrastructure
Yeah,
than them, right? So they sort of get ahead of themselves, like,
yeah.
this is not working or this not working. It's like, well, it's not
Give it
working
some
because you're not
time.
like properly set up to
Yeah,
have that working, right? Like you're
yeah,
spreading yourself a little bit too thin in some aspects, and you're going too broad, or you're not being specific enough. Like there's all these small details. But yeah, of course, having a great product and a great service is like the number one, right? Because
yeah,
then you're just peddling some shit, which is not a viable long-term strategy, because
yeah.
eventually everyone's gonna smell it. But after that, like having a great ad and improving on the ad, you'd say,
Uh, yeah, good re-engagement, following up. But yeah, basically, if you're talking about just paid advertising, then definitely
yeah,
the ad, I would argue, has the biggest impact on your KPIs, on your CPC. But there's a balance because you can make the ad completely irrelevant to your product and have a really well performing ad in terms of cost per clicks or how cheap they are to get visitors. Um, or installs or whatever metric you're looking at,
yeah,
but they don't convert that well or they don't turn into paying customers that well because it's just there's a disconnect. What the ads are misleading, right?
sure.
And people don't like getting cheated. So there is a balance that you have to find. Your ads should still be relevant, but still try and get the highest click-through rate to get the cheapest cost per clicks, which usually translates into a cheaper or a lower cost per action, which turns into a lower cost per customer and a higher return on investment.
And that's also that's so basically what you're saying there, just to like synthesize that, is just like understanding the data,
Yeah, exactly.
making sure
Understanding the
that
data, of course,
understanding that
100%.
whatever your actions are doing, the results that they're yielding, and if those are the actual results that you want, not just saying,
Yeah,
oh, my ad has my emails have 100% open rate, but then you realize that no one's buying whatever they're opening.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like, is that
Or no
even
one's
effective?
replying and being
Or no
like, I
one's
want to
replying.
want an appointment or I want to book something or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
So
exactly.
in the end is like
But
knowing at least.
this is after targeting, right? If you're targeting the completely wrong audience, then no matter what ad you throw out there, is no matter how good it is, it's not gonna really convert that well. You
Yeah.
still need to target properly. Like this is on top of targeting, right? So if you don't know what you're doing and you're just creating Google campaigns and throwing in a bunch of keywords in there, that's usually not like it's gonna maybe work to a degree,
Yeah.
but it's not gonna work like nearly well enough that you should be happy with it. You might get lucky, but generally you wanna try and focus, um, try to target properly, and then on top of that you wanna have constantly improve your ads to lower your cost per clicks.
And that's like what you just said there, is like sometimes you get lucky, and it's fine to get lucky, and you want to position yourself to get lucky, but also it's like if you do get lucky, hopefully you manage to capitalize on that luck,
Yeah, of course.
you know? And if you
Yeah,
get unlucky, hopefully you find a way to also capitalize on that
yeah,
luck.
yeah.
But then you're saying with like so I'm wondering with following up.
Yo, you're
So
shaking a lot, by the way.
yeah, sorry, I was just thinking, and my leg, the laptop's on my leg. There we go.
Yeah,
Just sometimes when I go to the gyms in the mornings now, right? So sometimes I just like to move my leg.
it's all good. I'm just letting you know it's super shaky.
Yeah. So she got to suffer with this. The value is in the voice, not in the video right now. So maybe in the future we have some infographics or something. Figure out to put that in. But with that being said, with the following up, do you believe that there's one great way to follow up, like one key way, or is it like should people be using chatbots? Should people be using like what would you say is a good way to follow up with people on sort of a broad spectrum
On a broad spectrum, that's a tough question right there.
or the top three broad
Again,
spectrum?
I'm gonna go back to my stock answer saying it depends on the company because
Yeah,
it depends what we're talking about. If you're talking about the tourism industry, then I would definitely recommend chatbots for sure, email and SMS because SMS has insane open rates. So I would try to implement that as soon as possible if you're not in the tourism industry. Because sending out SMS is actually relatively cheap. And like I said, it has one of the highest open rates, but
yeah,
so does Facebook Messenger. But the thing with SMS is you control the list, and with Facebook Messenger, Facebook decides that they no longer like your business, they can just turn it off, and then that list is gone. That's why email, SMS
you
is
can't save
of
that
higher.
list anywhere.
Not well, you could theoretically, but if they disable you being able to send out messages via from your Facebook page
Yeah,
or the people that subscribe to that chatbot, then you can't do it anymore because Facebook stopped it, and you can't download that list and upload it somewhere else. It doesn't work that way.
understood.
I mean, you could maybe, but I don't think you'd get away with it. Not really. But you can use a chatbot to gather the information, right? You can use a chatbot to get somebody's email and SMS. So I think the go-to in the tourism industry might be chatbots because it also allows you to reduce the load on your customer relationship or customer support
Yeah,
if you implement it properly.
yeah, you need to build that out properly. You can't
Yeah,
just, oh, we have a chat bot and then that's
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Of course, it is a chatbot, but you set it up, right?
Yeah,
Even though there are templates for different industries, one of them being the tourism industry, so you could build upon that, but you still need to like build it
detail it.
out for a specific business. Yeah.
Yeah,
In the mobile space, I would say push notifications because that's one of the easiest to get people to subscribe to, and in some cases it's even done automatically, so that yeah, and it's also just lets them get the notification right on their mobile phone. It's usually also extremely cheap to send them out or whatever, and basically everybody sees them. Email is a good second one. SMS maybe, but the problem with SMS and mobile apps is that you might have users from all over the world, and then it might get expensive to send an SMS to certain
everyone.
countries. So you might want to restrict that to specific countries, and then it gets a little bit more complicated. But that's where push notifications come in because they're kind of like SMSs, right?
Sure.
But they just come from the game or the app, and they don't come from the SMS. You can also do chatbots, but I haven't seen chatbots for games, and it kind of makes sense. I don't see why you would really need that.
No, that's what I was also thinking. I was like, well, maybe Facebook games.
If you like have a game platform,
Yeah,
sure. Um,
exactly.
but if you have just like a hyper casual game, then
Game, yeah, then not really need it.
maybe for support, for people that have bugs or something. But I don't really see that. I mean, you could kind of use it to reduce the load on customer service
Yeah,
again,
to
because
help
games have that
filter.
as well,
Sure.
to help filter problems and to try and direct people to maybe creating a ticket if they have a specific bug, to help your tech team to figure out the solution to the problem, or to have an email be sent to customer service and asking for them to whatever refund an in-app purchase or whatever it is, right?
Yeah. No, that's good. That is good. And yeah, it's the thing is like sort of seeing like if chatbots will eventually be a future thing for not only these two industries but all industries, right? Like sort of remember back in like I don't know 2000 or 2000 like early 2010s. Forgot which company was it, but they were using like a chatbot sort of pretty ghetto, but it was like working. Like you type it in and sort of like that paperclip also on the computer. What was that paperclip thing?
Kind of, yeah, but that I wouldn't have considered that a chatbot.
No, that wasn't a
It was
chatbot,
a
but
little tooltip. I know who you're talking about. He was Clippy or something like that. He was a little
Uh,
paperclip.
yeah, but they had like some answers for you and things like that. You know, you could like ask questions and they would come up with some stuff.
Yeah, but that was more of a, fact search tool or knowledge-based search tool. But yeah, I get
Yeah.
what you're trying to say.
But now they're
Clippy,
just
yeah,
getting better
Clippy
and better.
Microsoft Office Assistant, paperclip.
Yeah, but it's like that one. I don't even know if it was specifically that because I don't know if he only helped you
Yeah.
with Microsoft Office. But the point is that, you know, like the technology is just getting a lot better. Like whether
Oh yeah,
it's
for
not like
sure.
it's new. It's been around for a while, but now it's just like getting
Yeah,
a lot better.
machine learning and AI, as as that improves, then chatbots will also be able to learn themselves. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? At some point, like at the moment, that's not really open to the masses. That might be open to certain companies. But I don't think AI is ripe enough for all companies to use it in their chatbots.
sure. No, and also I think people also don't even care anymore if they're talking. Like it's even on the phone, right? Like when you call Apple, it takes you like a few minutes till you actually get to someone, but it's all like machine that's just
Yeah,
taking it in and moving you along the process.
yeah. IVRs, I think they're called. Um, but I forget what they
IVRs,
mean. Yeah, interactive voice response.
yeah, no, those things also work well.
Yeah, 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 for sure. But that I have no experience with that personally. I mean, sure, I can tell you what a good experience is and what a bad experience is if I go through it from the eyes of a customer, but wouldn't be able to tell you how to set one up. I could figure it out, sure, but
Yeah,
I have never done it, so I can't be like, yeah.
no, but
But
it's
yeah,
like
for sure, that also reduces your load on customer service if you can create it really like a good one that like helps people without having to send them to an actual person. But that's the thing with chatbots, like
yeah,
they're accessible 24/7, 365. They never sleep, they never go to the bathroom, they never go to sleep. I
they're
already
never
said sleep.
sick.
Yeah, they're never sick. Um,
They don't get
so that
pregnant.
so if you give give it the input that it needs, and it can interact with customers
Yeah,
to like 80% of customer service interactions.
no, it's true. And I wonder if eventually they'll find out a way. Well, I guess like because IVRs are sort of like Siri in a way, but just more specific to whatever you're trying to do. But it's like if they ever figure out like a hybrid chatbot IVR method,
Yeah, you could probably do that. Yeah.
like it's like, hey, are you tired of typing me? Do you want to just talk?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want you want to talk, John? No, that's good. That's good. So, in addition to ads, whether you're building a successful game, you're opening up a new tourist destination, a hotel, trying to attract people for some tours, whatever it might be, using influencers and choosing the right influencers.
Engagement rate. Well, we're back
Engagement
back to
rate.
that
Because
metric,
ads are
right?
going to help you, but also this sort of other way of using an influencer to attract new customers or potential customers um, is a good option potentially.
Yeah. And I would also look into doing TikTok, especially at this early stage. Um, Gary Vee has been talking about this as well, I think. But what's interesting about the platform, I have never used it outside of like scrolling through it for like 5 minutes once.
Yeah,
But from what I've been researching and reading, an influencer, even with 500 followers, could go viral because of the way that TikTok works and the way the algorithm works. It
yeah,
basically puts out the content to like, let's say 100 people, and depending on how they engage, the algorithm decides if they want to push it out to more people. And if it's a really good and well engaging video, then they just push it to as many people as possible, and that's how it goes viral. So as long as you can find like influencers that create good content, and one of that goes viral, then it can turn out to be one of the cheapest forms of marketing and the most cost effective and the highest performing. Um, but it's hard to go viral. It's and then to
well, do you
control
think you
that,
could
it's
do you
hard
think
to
you could
like.
trick the algorithm? Like, is there maybe already companies doing that? Sort of like,
You might be able to actually, yeah, to a certain degree. But the thing with tricking is platforms don't like it, and then they'll ban you. And you don't want that. You want long term. We had this last call, I think, or
Yeah,
last
no,
talk.
I'm just wondering about if people are using that method to sort of push something out,
I
right?
haven't heard of it, but I can easily imagine it being done. Like, some people probably have thousands of bot accounts, and then, if an influencer puts something out there, you can probably send those thousands of bots to interact with that video and watch that video.
Yeah.
And then that's you trick the algorithm that way. I could imagine something like that working. Um,
We're not trying to
but
give anyone
again,
any ideas out here or anything.
I
Just
don't recommend doing it, because
exactly.
if you get caught and if the platform doesn't like it, then they'll probably ban the influencer and probably maybe even you. Who knows?
So
I wouldn't risk it. Like, I've had my share deal with, like, trying to trick things, and it usually it really, like, ends up costing you in the long run.
yeah. No, and that's why it's important. Like a lot of people try when they're creating ads, when they're trying to push a product out there, a service, they really forget about the long term. Like it's okay to have a month where you don't sell that much and then have another month where you sell a lot, as long as like, and then another month where you sell a little bit. And then, but as long as the progress is like positive progress, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not wrong. But a lot of people just try to like create these unicorns from day one
And
at any cost.
a lot of people think that growth is exponential, and I mean, sure, it might be over the long term,
Yeah.
but generally, it's like a chart that goes up and down. As long as the bottoms are higher than the previous bottoms, it's usually a good sign. But generally, a chart isn't just like a straight line up; it's like a
Yeah. It's like
squiggly line.
waves, but
Yeah,
as long
and I
as they're
mean,
sort of,
this is talking about general advice. This has been said a million times over, but it still seems that people seem to forget that sometimes. That growth isn't just like a line going up. It'd be nice, but that's not reality.
yeah. And also, if it was only up, 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 like without the downs, then I think you'd also get a little bit bored,
Yeah,
hypothetically.
business. Yeah,
And then
yeah.
when something does go down a little bit, you might like then
Feel
not
too
really,
depressed. Yeah,
yeah, you won't know how to deal with that. And that could also be another problem. So it's good to have the ups and the downs and enjoy both of them,
yeah.
right? Sort of like a book that I'm reading right now, which is called The Dip by Seth Godin, Purple Cow guy.
Yeah. That's good.
So it's just talking about like he's talking about quitting, which is a true thing that sometimes people don't know when to quit or when to stop.
Mm.
But also there's like a strategic way to quit, right? Like sometimes you should quit because it's not going to work out in the long run or it's not
Yeah,
going down the direction that you want.
but I don't think he
And
means quitting everything. I would imagine he means quitting like a special idea, like the specific idea.
exactly, like that specific action, that specific idea, like it's not and that's the other the double-edged sword, the duality or the the tough part for people to understand is that people when they hear quitting, they think like throw your hands up and
Give
walk
up
away
everything.
and move
Yeah,
to another country and restart from zero scratch. But this is not the exact meaning behind quitting or stopping or whatever other term, right? It's just like analyzing what you're doing, keep what works, get rid of what doesn't, or quit what doesn't, and then keep reiterating yourself as you get better and better and better. And then also that is that sometimes you have one approach, let's say one ad that doesn't work, doesn't mean you should stop running ads forever. It just means like quit that one ad, create
and
a new
start a new
one,
one. Yeah,
and see if that one works, right?
yeah,
Like it's not about just like, oh, we're not going to use Facebook platform anymore because we put one ad and it didn't work. Like
yeah.
that's not the case, right?
Um,
Any platform could work hypothetically with the right approach.
Yeah, for sure. And I find it interesting when some people are like, "Yeah, but I tried Facebook ads and it didn't work." I'm like, "Well, what did you try? Did you try
Yeah.
one ad with one audience? That was maybe 5 million people big, but your actual audience is smaller or bigger than that? Like, what was it that you tried? Was it maybe on the approach? Was it maybe like on the landing page that didn't convert that well, or the app store page that just had a very bad conversion rate, which needs to be improved? Whatever it might be. But yeah, that makes sense.
No, so that's why. So if you are into reading some books, because I saw you have a book in the back, is that cash advertising?
Yeah, that's cash advertising.
Cash advertising, yeah.
Yeah,
Is it good?
yeah, I recommend it.
Oh, okay. There you go. David's recommendation.
David's recommendation.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most well-known copywriting books out there, to be honest, cash advertising, or at least in the performance marketing industry for copywriting.
And it's good, and that's part of like sort of development. I think that was sort of where I was thinking like, oh, maybe this is where the call could be ending. But it's like in regards to not only as a company or as an individual, like trying to maintain and improve yourself is like key, right? Like always being out there, learning, testing, seeing what works.
That's how we ended last call as well. Like,
Well, this is the
uh,
lesson that has to be repeated until people
over
understand
and
that.
over and over again. It's constant growth. It's never ending, for
Yeah.
sure. And a lot of people think it ends with college or whatever, but it doesn't. It's
That's like
lifelong.
the beginning.
Yeah.
Literally the beginning. Like, oh, you finished that? All right, well, welcome to the next adventure.
The next level.
Or the next level or the first adventure, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
Like I do feel that school is very long now. Like when you think about it, you're like, man, like 12 years of that plus 4 to 6 or 8 years of another thing. It's like, when does it end?
Like, I'm pretty happy that I didn't do university. Like, I don't know a lot of people that are really happy that they went to university, but
Sure.
like I kind of did try it out and it just wasn't for me. So I mean, it really depends on you as a like how you learn and how you like to learn, I think.
Yeah, but also you're different, right? You motivated yourself. You also tried to do things. There's a lot of people that they go out of university and they don't do anything, right? I forgot what the new statistic is of the age of young adults, quote unquote, staying with their families.
Yeah,
I think now it's like 30 or something like that, or
30%.
35. No, like, oh, the percentage I don't know, but it's like the
Oh,
common
okay,
age to
but
leave.
the common age to leave, that's pretty high actually.
Yeah,
I
common.
felt bad when I like moved back in to my mom's place at like the age of what was it, 21? But it was just for a few months and then I moved back out. But that's crazy. And I felt bad at that age. I was like, damn, I gotta be out of
When do
here.
young Europeans leave home? For women, it's 25.2 years old, and then for men, it's 27.6.
That's a disappointment for men.
Well, we need more time to conjure ourselves up, right? Like we need
Men do mature slower than women. I think that's been proven, or at least that's something I read
was
once.
that
I don't know
study
how
made by
accurate that
women?
is. Maybe, man. I'm not sure. But if you look back at like how you grew up and like how everyone around you grew up, it makes sense.
Yeah, no, because you have to remember us guys are a bunch of clowns generally, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Or just boys
yeah,
in men's bodies.
yeah,
That's
boys will be
that's what
boys,
it is. Yeah.
and there's a lot of truth behind that, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? You just have to
No, of
learn,
course.
you have to understand who you are, what you are, right? And then use that, right?
Yeah,
Just sort of embrace it, and then realize, okay, I'm sort of like this or I'm like that, and then understand yourself and then build on yourself. But the people
exactly.
that don't take time to or try to deny things, they're like, "Oh, what do you mean? I have a shirt and I have a collar and I'm not a clown. I'm not a joker." And then those are the guys that usually after like a couple bad falls or whatever it might be, right? A couple hiccups, then they don't know how to like live with themselves anymore because they're like, "Oh, I'm a failure," and this and that. It's like, no, you're not. Like,
Yeah.
you're just you're in denial for like the last 35 years.
It's interesting you touched on the failure thing because I was reading a recent study.
Yeah,
Again, I don't know how accurate it is,
like
that was
anything.
saying that 70% of people that achieve success or have some form of success, whatever that may be in a career, or in whatever,
Yeah,
have the feeling of being a failure. It's called the imposter syndrome. And apparently, even Tom Hanks has admitted to having this and stuff. It's just the feeling that even though objectively you've achieved a lot and you've done a
yeah,
lot and you've achieved success to a degree, whatever that may be, you tell yourself that you're a fraud and you're not good enough, and
yeah,
at any moment they're going to find out, and then it's all going to crumble or whatever.
yeah.
And
I live
I
with
didn't
that.
know that, but 73% of like people that achieve success feel that way at some point in their career. That's crazy
No,
because
and but it makes sense because you have to realize, like, I always say this, right? Everyone gets in the shower naked. Everyone sits down to poo pretty much. We're all human, but we lose sight of that, right?
yeah,
Because some guy comes in on a helicopter or someone has a private jet or they live in a 20-bedroom house, or that's not even a house anymore, a mansion, whatever you want to call it, villa. All these different factors, and we sort of like put people onto these pedestals
Yeah.
that even they might be confused. They're like, all right, I'm the president of a country, but I'm still human.
Yeah.
Like, if I still will get a flu. If I drink, I'm still gonna get a hangover. If I smoke something, I'm gonna cough. Like, I'm not perfect. I still have fears. I still have aspirate. Like, I'm human. And
Yeah.
that's the thing that we always forget, is that we put these people onto these pedestals, holding them to some standards, and then that's sort of what messes everything up, right? Because it messes them up, and it also messes you up because you're idealizing them to be this one thing, and then they don't live up to it, and then you're like,
Yeah.
what the hell is this? And
And
then they're
that
like, why are you mad at me for not living up to this
yeah.
thing? Where did you get that
Yeah.
idea? When did I
Yeah.
ever say that?
Managing expectations. I think that's a topic for another day, but that's
Yeah.
also super important because you can set yourself into depression or into disappointment if you expect too much. And I've done that where I've calculated the numbers before testing something to like for the best case scenario, and
Yeah.
then I didn't even get close to that, and I was like, oh man, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Um, but that's not the way you should do it. You should look at the numbers objectively and even work towards the worst case scenario and then try to improve that kind of thing.
Well, that's why like, whenever I'm sort of thinking through of something, I'm always thinking worst case scenario, right? Like, what is,
Yeah,
like, okay, obviously the worst case is like nothing happens, everyone
that's
is
black
struck by
swan
lightning,
event though, as
the
you were
black
saying last
swan.
time.
But let's just say, like, plus or minus the worst case scenario, then you could sort of like build off of that. Like, is it even
Yeah,
viable at that situation?
yeah,
Or is it
exactly.
even worth going down that path at that level?
And
And if
even
it's
if it's
not, then you
not,
could scrap it,
yeah,
maybe.
but even if it's not and you're close, you can still be like, okay, this is the worst case scenario. If it doesn't work, then oh well. But if it like even works a little bit better or even slightly better, then it still works. Then you might still give it a try and try to reach the better than worst case scenario. But if
Yeah.
in the worst case scenario you can see that you're just like it's not going to work out at all, no matter how hard you try, then it just doesn't make sense to even go through with that idea.
And even if
For
it's
sure.
worth to go through with the idea, right? Like, you got to also think about, where's this idea going to lead you? But that's the double-edged side of, sometimes, well, first, you don't know exactly where it's going to lead
Of
you.
course,
So
of
that's why
course.
you still have to do something, but also you want to make sure that that something you're doing is plus or minus the best option for that moment, at the moment, right? Like, you don't want to just not do something because it's not perfect, and you don't want to just not do something because, like, you're not sure,
Yeah,
right? Because then you're just going to stand still. And it's either you're going backwards, you're standing still, or you're going forward. But you want to be always going forward.
yeah.
Even if it's a little bit, at least it's forward.
And that's where the saying comes, fail fast, fail forward.
And there you go. That's where that saying comes. I don't know if it comes from that exactly, but
I would imagine because the whole point is even if you make a mistake, you're still moving forward. You're still learning
sure.
from that. And the faster you can move forward, you know, the faster you move forward.
But we
And
might have to
that
add that in
might
there,
mean
because some people might just keep
failing
failing. They're like,
faster.
hey, I'm at least failing forward. And they're like, no, you have to learn, Billy.
From yeah, you have to take some learnings from what the failings that you have. Of course,
Yeah.
that's how the way it works.
Then it goes back to reiteration. It comes back to managing expectations. All these things are, that's why that holistic approach is important, because in the end, it all comes together, right?
Yeah,
Like,
at the
everything from the
beginning,
product and service to your strategy on how to get that product and service out there, to the people behind the product and service, to the
yeah,
market you're going for, to the world. Like, everything plays a role,
yeah. That's
right?
why at the beginning of the call you were saying, why do people say that marketing is complex? Because at the end of the day, marketing is an integral part of a company in every aspect to a certain degree, and that's why it's complex because it is complex. People will say it's complex because at the end of the day, it is complex, and getting everything right is hard. Getting every piece of the puzzle right or perfect is basically impossible, right?
Yeah.
There is no perfect. So that's why I think some people say that. Because you can simplify it, sure, but if you go into the detail, well, then it becomes complex.
And that's, I think we'll have to leave it
Yeah,
so
sounds
we
good to
don't.
me.
No, exactly. So we don't. We leave a little bit out there. Get some of the minds thinking. Get some, get the blood flowing. But it's about that. It's sort of like that integral thinking, like you said, and then taking every. It's like trying to understand. Like that's why you almost need to have like this macro understanding of whatever you're doing,
Yeah,
and then after you have that top idea, you sort of like need to fill out the bottom and
yeah,
the
break it
details.
down.
But it's just like understanding first the big picture. Then once you understand the big picture, what does this all mean? Where are we actually going? Like what's going on?
Yeah.
Then you can be like, all right, like let's do this, let's do
How
that, or
how
let's
how
not
do
do that.
we how do we do this? How do we do
Or
this? What are all the moving pieces for this? What are all the moving pieces for this? So on and so forth.
yeah. But it all takes time to get to that, and you also have to keep
Of
moving
course.
forward to understand all the places, right? Like how are you going to know what your lifetime value of your customer is of 3 years if you've only been in business for 3 days?
Yeah.
Right? So we're not going to know that. So some things do take time, but as long as you push forward and then you reiterate and you sort of build upon like proven successes and proven methods, because that's maybe a good way to gauge when you're in the dark, right? Like,
Yeah. Look at the industry benchmarks. There's so many reports out there, and
yeah,
like how other companies are doing, what the averages are, that you can just look at, like, like have a target that you're going for.
got to like gauge, like,
Yeah,
are you even
exactly.
in the right ballpark
Yeah, exactly.
for whatever you're trying to do? Because that's also the other thing is like, you don't want to compare yourself to others, but also you need to sort of like have a reference point because
Yeah.
if you don't have a reference point, then you might be completely off, and it's not a
Not even
bad
know
thing
it.
because you could be like an artist in a way that the guy is doing whatever and no one understands him yet, and then 200 years later people understand him somehow. But it's like generally we're living in the now, so we do things that sort of need to work now and in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like sort of combining, I think, the logic with the emotion, but for sure using, I think you almost have to use the emotion to guide the logic and then use the logic to guide the emotion. It's like sort of a
Yin and yang?
yin and yang type thing. Yeah, look at that. Oh, is that how they started? He's trying to explain it.
Maybe.
He's like, a little bit of yin and yang there. Well, anyways, David, it was a pleasure talking to you
Likewise.
this morning, not evening. It's a morning time,
Afternoon for me.
afternoon for you. Did you do some exercise today?
A little bit, yeah. I'm
Good.
still a little bit sick and slash weak, but I've been working out the last few days again.
Today though?
Yeah, I did a little bit. I
Oh,
want to do a bit more, but yeah, I did a little bit.
that's
I'm
good.
working on my back. Like that's a really important muscle body
For
part that I want to
for
work on.
performance marketers, we need to have a performance
Oh
marketer.
yeah, I'm sitting all day, man. That's super
Yeah,
important to have a good, like a healthy back.
I think
But
that's an
also
untapped
because
industry right there.
I'm
Back
going on the
exercises for performance
back
marketers.
aches, man. That's a massive market. That's a very big market for sure. I'm serious.
I know, I know. I've seen all the products. I've been testing out all types of like seat cushions, back cushions, all types of things just
This
for,
chair. Why do you think I have this chair? It's supposed to help me with my back. You
is
know?
it?
Yeah. It's supposed to be
Okay.
ergonomic.
Uh, I was looking at the best chair in the world. I forgot what it was called, but
Like
there's
3 grand or something.
yeah, I think even a little bit more by this one
Yeah.
company, but they say it's like a 20-year, 10,
Yeah,
15,
yeah, yeah,
20-year
yeah.
guarantee. And
Like Herman Miller, I think is the one, like the one big company that's known for ergonomic chairs. But
yeah,
there's a new chair from the company that also does gaming chairs, Secret Labs. It's called Neue chair, like Neue. And it's $500, and it apparently competes with like $1,000 chairs or $1,500 chairs.
yeah,
Um,
new ed chair. I see it. Yeah,
and it's really just for ergonomic comfort and being able to like sit at your desk properly, comfortably for long periods of time.
and the Herman Miller chair is the chair that I was talking about.
I thought so.
I just don't know the exact name of that chair of the Herman Miller chair, but it is one of their.
It probably looks. It's the one that looks like a spine, probably
I think
like
it's
a
called
little
the
bit.
Arrow. Let me
Yeah,
see.
Yep,
Just see
that rings a
my
bell.
Arion. Yeah,
Arion. Okay.
and supposedly they're very comfortable.
Ah, okay. Yeah, the Neue chair has a similar design to this one, the Aeron chair. The Aeron chair isn't the most expensive one from them, I think.
It does look very nice, the Noah chair. And oh, they have a headrest. I haven't used that
Yeah, the
before.
headrest is separate. But I think the Aeron chair from Herman Miller also doesn't include it. But yeah, it has a similar design to the Aeron, the Neue chair.
For the next 6 hours, 40 minutes, and 52 seconds, you'll have guaranteed shipping today at a price of $650.
Scarcity.
Yeah. But it looks good. You know, it looks better. I like this chair that I'm in right now, but I know I wouldn't be able to sit here for 100 hours. So yeah. But in any case, health, that might be another topic for another day, as it
Yeah,
is
for sure.
very important.
Oh yeah,
Because if
working
you're not
out.
healthy, you will not perform. And that your physical and your mental health will affect, well, your physical health will affect your mental health,
Yep.
and your mental health will also affect your physical health. And if you're not in top shape, then you're not going to be able to get top results.
Yeah, that's so true.
So
And
that's,
like I've known that for a while, but like I've really been slacking on the health side of things for the last year in terms of fitness.
yeah. No, well, the whole world is slacking on that, right? Like the
Yeah, that's true.
statistics are insane. And that's why you really have to go do an effort to learn about nutrition, learn about fitness, and be conscious about what you're doing, what you're putting in, and not just get taken by uh, what the advertisers are doing, right? Like what products are getting pushed out there that might not actually be the best for you, because the health
Yeah,
industry is a
yeah,
more sensitive thing, right? It's one thing to get someone to download a game that might make them spend 30 minutes of their life, but it's another thing to make someone eat something or drink something that is going to have larger repercussions, right?
yeah. Of course.
So that's a whole nother thing, and that's why advertising can be used for good and can be used for bad. Now you get to decide how you want to do that. But that's
Yeah,
just like with everything in life, that it can go either way, right? We said that last time. A little bit of water is a good thing. Too much water could be a bad thing. So it all just depends. You need that balance, and it goes back to that whole
yin and
integral,
yang.
yeah, yin and yang, integral way of life. And but we'll talk about all that stuff later. So, anyways, David, for the second or third or fourth time, we will keep in touch,
Yep.
and we will sign this off, and we'll put in some details into the wherever this is going to be posted. We'll put some details in case anyone wants to reach out or has some
If you've
questions.
made it this far, then
Yeah.
thank you very much for
Uh,
for
yeah.
watching this whole video.
Now I understand why people that make long videos always say that if you've made it this far, well, because it sort of has to be said because you
Like
push through
45 minutes, 50 minutes now, roughly, I think.
an hour
We'll see.
maybe.
Yeah.
But we'll be in touch, and also we'll be in touch with whoever wants to be in touch with
Feel free to
ourselves.
connect to either of us.
LinkedIn.
We'll help you out in any way we can.
Yeah. I'll spread some wisdom or get some wisdom as well. I like to get
Yeah, of
wisdom.
course. Yeah, of course. Share ideas, whatever. Let's get
Yeah.
on a call.
Oh, that's true. We maybe got to look into that. Trying to get on calls with other people. But I saw with Zoom, they will limit us to 40 minutes
45, I think. But yeah,
unless we
unless
upgrade.
you upgrade. Yeah.
So that's something to consider. Want to thank Zoom, just in case they ever see this, for giving us the free version of this lovely benefit of recording calls.
Yep.
And we will have to look to support them when we start doing like some group calls and things. Need to look at their
Yeah, for sure.
plans.
We'll definitely need to upgrade Zoom at some point.
Yeah,
It's probably gonna happen
any moment.
any day.
Not this moment, but some moment,
Any day. No, but
any day, man,
probably in the next few weeks, so like next month or two, I can imagine
for sure.
us having to get a bigger plan.
But all right, so have a good day and a good weekend.
Likewise.
Peace out,
Peace.
David.